Griswold nose was developed to protect the glider in rough landings. Parachute arrestor was adopted to permit landing the glider in restricted areas. The intercom between tow plane and glider was introduced. Blitz landings were out. Glider pilots were taught a slow, constant rate of descent, with a slow landing to a precise spot on the ground.
My name is Ken Smith. I am now 88 years old, and in 1942, at the age of 18, I enlisted in the Royal Air Force. And after being trained in Canada, getting my pilot's wings, came back to England and underwent operational training and ultimately volunteered to become a glider pilot, carrying 30 of troops or arms behind a bomber being towed by a bomber. And the major battle that I was involved in was in March the 24th of 1945, when we crossed the Rhine. There were about 1,200 combinations of tug planes and gliders carrying troops, arms, and even tanks, and landing behind the lines and crossing the Rhine, opening the gate for them to start their attack on Berlin. After that, what I was involved in was dropping of agents at night who were working with the underground and doing sabotage work and relaying information back to England. And that was the main part of what I did during the war. Finally, I'd like to summarize my feelings about all that I have talked about the war and its effect on people. It's something I wrote for an address to a school. I call it Give Peace a Chance. Thankfully, most people in North America have grown up during a time of peace, in spite of the unfortunate fact that elsewhere in the world somebody has always been fighting a war. For many, war is something known only from television and movies. Far too often it leads us into believing that marching off to war is a great and glorious thing to do. What we don't see is the terrible misery, the total loss of so many things we now take for granted. I grew up between two world wars, and as a young boy I can remember actually looking forward to the time when, like my father before me in World War I could join up and, like generations before me, heroically defend my country. I was 15 when World War II started, and I could hardly wait until I was 18 and able to join the Royal Air Force, become a pilot, and serve my country. I am not ashamed of that period of my life, but I found out what wartime is really like, and can only hope that because of the sacrifices of my generation, none of you will ever have to experience the alternative to peace, which is war.